All right, what's up, internet? A bit early. Starting the show a bit early instead of the 8:30 stated time, but we're just gonna hang out, get some people watching. What's up, Revin Jan? No, I really had the mic like for once. I really knew that there was no sound. We had the mic off a little bit, making sure that the stream speed is okay, and so far it's looking good. Just hanging out for a little bit. We'll get more people to show up, and then I'll start the show in a little bit. Sup, Moniker, evening. Okay, so since we're just sort of killing time, I'm wearing the new Hardware Sugar t-shirt now, and we have 3 choices. We got 2 in black and 1 in white. Oh, this is actually a good angle. Like I have a nice Oh, did you really have to plug in the dongle? Baka the mic. Anyway. Yeah, so if you're interested in the shirt, whoa, what's going on, camera? What's going on?
Show the shirt.
If you're interested in picking up this one-of-a-kind design, it'll be live on our site starting tomorrow. It does come in black, and another design in black, and then another design in white. So this is an original. This is our first merch, actually. Our first original merchandise. I think the team did a good job, to be honest. It was all in-house, from Rafael to our designers to our tech guys also gave input in. So actually the concept of this shirt is like, if you're a PC guy but your friend or some significant other in your life is not, you can wear the shirt and you can point to like, oh, this is the anatomy of a PC. So you got the case, and then you got the fans.
All right, show the GPU. I can't see the GPU. Yeah. The words.
You got the GPU. GPU over here. This does actually look very much like a real case, but I won't mention it on camera for copyright reasons. But we have actually modified it a little bit to Mark Lewis, add to cart. Add to cart tomorrow. It'll be live on the site tomorrow. And then the thing about these shirts is that they're all limited edition, so we'll never come out with another design or print like this. We do have them in different sizes: small, medium, large, XL. Things like that. So it'll be on the site tomorrow. White and black. Different stuff. All right, so thanks again for joining us. This is CryptoWatch episode 5. And, let's just run the ad so we can start the actual show.
Bibili ka ng PC, most likely kailangan ng Windows.
Pero saan ko kukuha ng legit Windows? Daming options, daming prices.
Buti na lang, may cdkeyoffers.com. Madali lang ang order. Search for the software you need, add to cart, daan ka sa payment options nila.
Wala pang 5 minutes, finished! May legit working CDK ka na para sa Windows mo.
Gamitin lang aming code para makakuha pa ng discounts.
Kaya kung naghahanap ka ng legit, mura, at original software,
check out cdkeyoffers.com.
Alright, thank you for staying through the ad. And let me just get my graphics up. Okay, now we're ready.
See, Revin Jan's asking how much.
$450. The shirt Revin Jan is $450.
Regardless of size.
Small, medium, large, XL. Small S, M, L, and XL. Casey Bolios, what's up? You were asking about the collab. That video is in the works. Actually, I just need to get around to start editing it. But it's scheduled for early November. But we have all of the interviews already done. And yeah, it's just basically chopping up, doing the edit. And the format we're going to do is a little bit like the streaming video that we did. So I'll introduce each segment and things like that. So just a little bit more work on that. But that's definitely coming. Sup, Valiant? Thanks for joining us. I hope this is not taking time away from your class. All right, so we're gonna change it up a bit for this CryptoWatch episode. Usually I start with the news, and then news first and then tips at the end. But this time we'll flip it, so tips first and then news at the end, because the first topic I want to talk about is how to make a mining rig. And I ended up with this topic because we've had a lot of inquiries the past week or so, like people with Bitcoin at its almost all-time high, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but the price of Bitcoin is very high again. So a lot of people who wouldn't be interested are now interested now in mining. So we're getting a lot of requests na pagawa nung mining rig and things like that. But it's not that simple. Like di ka lang pwede pumunta sa computer shop and ask them like, oh, I want a mining rig. I mean, gaming rig, editing rig, rendering rig, those are fairly simple things. But yung mining rig, medyo kakaiba siya eh. So I just wanted to do, we'll start with that. Like, how do you make a mining rig? And actually, this is let me pull it up. So this is an actual inquiry that we got. So the customer is like, I'm interested in buying a desktop computer best for Bitcoin mining. Could you give me a quotation and recommended specs? So my first answer was, if it's for Bitcoin, you don't actually want a computer or a desktop computer. You want a dedicated miner called an Asic miner. Asic is, it's a term for a kind of chip that basically does nothing but mine Bitcoin. It's optimized for only one thing. Its sole goal in life, if you're a Rick and Morty fan, and there's a thing, it's become a meme na parang there's this one stupid gadget that they make and its only purpose in life is to like be an alarm or be the gadget of other gadgets or things like that. Ganon yung Asic mining or Asic miner. The only thing it can do is mine Bitcoin. But if you want to mine Bitcoin exclusively and you want to get the best ROI, that's what you want, because GPU miners now are basically ineffective. They're not efficient enough anymore to mine Bitcoin in particular. So if you come to me and you ask me like, I want to mine Bitcoin, my answer is don't buy a desktop computer, buy an Asic miner, which is a standalone computer. We don't sell that at Hardware Sugar. Sometimes you can get it in Lazada or in Shopee. I'm not familiar with, if parang walang official distributor dito. Yung sikat na gumagawa ng Asic miner is Ant Miner, or it's really a company and they really produce these kind of standalone miners. So if you want to get into Bitcoin mining and you're serious about that, I would really recommend an Asic miner, which is what I recommended to this customer. If it's for Bitcoin, you're better off getting an Asic instead of a desktop computer. But the inquiry was a bit persistent. The customer's reply to my thing was na use an Asic miner. Then the reply was, we just plan to connect through NiceHash, which is kind of like, I'm talking about Asic, using an Asic miner and a NiceHash. It's like, those things, they don't connect. They're not, obviously there's kind of like a disconnect, and obviously the customer is new to mining and everything. NiceHash is just like a mining pool. So you join a mining pool when you mine. What's a mining pool? Basically, new Bitcoins are generated by, okay, now we're going down the rabbit hole a little bit, but just very briefly, new Bitcoins are generated by mining, which is the term for when you do work for the network. You're actually verifying transactions when you quote unquote mine. And every time that you mine, you're gaining a chance to unlock a cryptographic puzzle. And if you're the guy to unlock the puzzle for that block, then you get a prize of an X amount of Bitcoin. Dati, when I first started mining, I think it was around 50 Bitcoin per block. So if you're the guy to solve the puzzle, you gain 50 Bitcoin. But the Bitcoin is already designed so that the rewards per block lessen over time. So I don't know if it's 50 Bitcoin anymore. But basically, that's how it works. When you're mining, you're doing work for the network, you're validating transactions, and for each work that you do, you're getting a chance to unlock or to solve a puzzle. And if you solve that puzzle, you gain an X amount of Bitcoin. Where do the mining pools come in? The problem with mining or solo mining is it's winner take all. Only one person can get that reward per block. So what the mining pool does is everybody kind of contributes their work to the mining pool. And even though only one person in that pool is able to get the correct answer, the price is rationed off, or it's a pro rata distributed among the people who contributed to the mining pool. So yung kagandahan ng mining pool, even if you're not the one who found the answer, if you contributed work, then you get a share of the profits. And that's really how most people mine nowadays, kasi the odds of you being the sole miner to get the correct answer to the block and get the reward of Bitcoins is very, 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 very small. So that's why a lot of people use pool mining. I don't know any insane people actually who do solo mining anymore. Back in the day, kaya pa yun. Dating GPU mining, dating CPU mining when Bitcoin was very new. But even back in the day when I started, and I started very early with Bitcoin, pool mining was already sort of the recommended way to go, because yun nga, the chances of you being the correct one to get to being the one with the correct answer is infinitesimal. I mean, it's really, really tiny. So when the customer said, I said use an ASIC miner, and the customer said we just plan to use a mining pool, medyo, you have an idea already that you're not really talking. This is not a seasoned investor in mining or in crypto. So, and at first, I was trying to explain that you don't want to go down this desktop route, but the customer is very insistent. So this is why I thought of talking about it first on this episode. Paano ba talaga yung mining? To make a mining rig. So the first thing is, if you're into Bitcoin and you're serious, you want an ASIC miner. You don't want a desktop computer. The upside of an ASIC miner is it's much more efficient than using GPU mining. The downside is, kumbaga all-in ka. You can't use that computer for anything else. That ASIC computer, that ASIC miner, pang Bitcoin mining lang talaga siya. So that's if you're serious. But what if another kind of miner is, you just want to try. You have a very nice desktop. You bought a 3070. You have a very fast graphics card. You bought it for gaming, but you're thinking, uso naman yung mining ngayon. Baka I can earn back some of the money that I spent on my rig. Why not try it? Yun, pwede yun. So, kumbaga sideline mo lang. You bought the rig for something else, for video editing, for gaming, for, rendering. That's why you needed the high specs. And you're thinking, well, kung i-sideline ko lang yung computer. And that's fine. And actually, that for a sideline with a GPU, again, GPUs are not recommended anymore for Bitcoin mining. They haven't been recommended for a long time already. Basically, kasi arms race yung mining. The Bitcoin network senses or is able to detect when a lot of miners are operating, and it makes things harder because it wants to control inflation. So, a lot of people criticize Bitcoin for being digital and having no assets backing it. It's really just like in the air. Saan ba yung value niya? But whoever designed it, Satoshi is his pseudonym. Whoever he, she, they were, they really included certain features in Bitcoin to try to ensure its value. And one of those is to control inflation. So the more people mining, the harder it becomes to mine. And because Bitcoin mining is so popular now, GPU mining just really isn't efficient anymore. So to go back to the topic, if you're using a desktop computer pang sideline, I would really recommend mining another kind of coin. Ethereum. Some of our other viewers, our customers have recommended Raven coin, which is just basically like Bitcoin, but the value is much less, but you're able to generate a lot more Raven coin using GPU rather than if you mine Bitcoin. So there are a lot of coins now out there. Shiba Inu, actually, I wanted to include. I'll mention Shiba Inu a little bit in the news portion later. But if you're just using your PC as a sideline, that's perfectly fine. But I would suggest using it to mine something else, not Bitcoin. Do you need to do anything else? So you got this really nice rig, high-end GPU, high-end CPU. Your PSU is probably at least 750 watts, maybe higher. Do you need to do anything else so that you can sideline mining? No, actually. You can take your existing computer, especially if it's high-end, and just start mining. I mean, you can join a mining pool. You can run the programs needed to mine. Dennis from YouTube asked, how much bang ASIC miner ngayon? To be honest, I don't know. I've been out of the mining game for a long time. I do not know how much the most recent ones are. Casey Bolios, can an APU mine? I think so, but again, I don't think it would be very efficient. Like I don't know how much. Like definitely, I wouldn't even try Bitcoin. Maybe Ethereum or maybe Ravencoin. So if you have a high-end rig and you just want to try, parang mas maganda yung lighting kung ano kung okay. Anyway, if you just want to, Sup, Ergobert, is Pi a scam? Actually, we've talked about this. Or sorry, I promised I would talk about this based on the last video or the last time I did CryptoWatch. Some people have asked me about Pi nga. Its claim to fame, I think, is that, supposedly you can mine using your cell phone or things like that. But I haven't really looked into it, but it seems like a scam. But to be honest, I really haven't looked into it. Maybe if you have any experience, Ergobert, you can let us know in the chat. But me personally, I haven't tried it. It seems a bit scammy, but to be honest, I haven't done my due diligence because I haven't invested in it or I haven't, mined it. So I don't know. Dennis, I've been using my laptop to mine Ravencoin, kaso ayoko ibabad masyado. Yes. That's a good point, especially laptops. If you're mining, you will generate a lot of heat. Kasi basically, online yan 24/7. You want to keep that thing running as long as possible. That will generate a lot of heat. And laptops in particular don't deal with heat very well. So if you have a high-end desktop and you want to use it for mining, you don't need to do anything with the hardware. You're good to go. And you can just run programs and hook up to mining pools to get, if you just want to try, kumbaga, parang, sideline lang, pasubok lang, pwede naman yun. Although, yun nga, you will have to contend with heat. So, you're gonna want, if it's a high-end rig, most likely your case does have good cooling already. You're gonna want to make sure that that good cooling is continuous. So, if your case is dirty, maybe clean it out first. Make sure it gets good ventilation. If you have it on the floor, maybe put it in an area like on your desk where it has better airflow. If it's an ITX build, the high-end, same problem as like with a laptop. That's going to generate a lot of heat, and ITX builds don't dissipate heat very well. So it's a bit dicey if you use a laptop or a high-end laptop or a high-end ITX build to mine. But again, on a theoretical level, you can go ahead and use your high-end computer just to try mining. Maybe leave it on for like an hour, 2 hours. But to set expectations, you really won't see a lot of profit like leaving it for 24 hours. You gotta leave it on for much longer than that, especially on the established coins like Ethereum where the difficulty is higher. You really need to run it quite long to see any kind of significant profit. And to be honest, medyo nakaka-addict mining. You think na, gawin ko lang sideline, pasubok-subok lang. But back when I was mining, I would remember like I was still using my personal computer before I had a dedicated miner. And medyo like yun nga, nakaka-addict konti kasi you're not doing anything but your PC is working, man. It's working for you and you're generating profit. So yeah, I wouldn't play games. I would just leave my computer on mining kasi inisip ko, sayang eh. So kahit sobrang ingay kasi the fans need to be on, really on all the time. Sobrang ingay ng computer. And like nandun sa kwarto ko, pero okay lang, tulog na lang ako kahit maingay. I would leave it on 24/7 because just the idea that you're not doing anything but your computer is working and you're actually generating real profit, something that you can sell for real money, that is quite addicting. So just be aware of that yes, you can use a high-end rig to sideline in mining, but it soon takes on a life of its own. You'll stop gaming so that you can leave the PC on to mine. And things like that. And of course, there is the energy level. You'll consume a lot more energy. Sobrang mahal ng kuryente dito sa atin. At mararamdaman mo talaga yun when you start mining. Especially like yung 24/7 na parang 24/7 mining will really shoot up your utility bill even with just one GPU. Dennis, I've been mining for 1 month, 8 hours, 3 times a week. Naka $2.10 pa lang ako. Well, I mean, in Bitcoin, well, Bitcoin value is going up, so it should go up as well. Casey, open case or bear case build for mining? I'll talk about that in a little bit. When I'll talk about the dedicated miner. Random Ren. Every month kailangan linisin kasi ang kapal nung dust buildup. Actually, that does go into Casey's question. Is it better to have a closed case or an open case for mining? I'll touch on that in a little bit. So number one, if you want to do Bitcoin mining, definitely get an ASIC miner. It's no good to have a GPU to mine Bitcoin. Number two, if you just want to mine on the side, you can do that if you just want to try it, especially if you have a high-end rig. But for this particular customer, yun nga, yung initial tanong sa akin, I want a mining rig. Tas medyo ayaw makinig sa akin when I said na, you really want to get an ASIC miner. But the customer was still kind of insistent na I want a kind of a desktop computer mining build. So this is number three. What do you need if you want to make a professional miner with GPUs? Yun nga, kasi professional miner din yung ASIC eh. So let me just pull up some stuff. Actually, you could really tell that the customer was a bit new to PC building in general because I asked, I'm trying to make the best miner for you, so I've cut out RGB. Do you mind? And the customer was like, "What's RGB?" So it's really these kind of customers. I'm very like I want to tell them this is what you do, but sometimes they just won't listen to my advice. Like I want to save them money and I'm trying to steer them the right way, but sometimes they're just like, well, I heard from a friend na ganito ganyan. Hirap pa minsan eh. So I'm asking, the desktop would be specifically for mining. Yes, specifically for mining, but of course with option to use other than mining. So we need best CPU cooler and case fan. So, yun nga. And it's very hard to give direct answers like, it's always like, what's the best? I'm like, well, it depends on your budget, right? And then the answer is, what do you mean po, depends? And it's really, ang hirap to... ako yung nag-aalala for the customer eh. And then so there are all these questions like, does the motherboard have enough slots to accommodate for the GPUs and things like that? So, all of these questions are... Oops, that's for later. Yeah. So all of these questions kind of bring us to what would a professional mining rig look like if if you designed it like using GPUs. This was throwback. Let me see if I can yeah. That is my miner circa 5 years ago. 5 years ago. So to answer Casey's question, open case or closed case, most professional miners have open cases, or in my case, no case. And this is what a professional miner looks like, but it's not. Professional miners are not pretty to look at because basically you're just trying to stick as much hardware as you can. So number one, cheap CPU. This is a cheap Intel CPU. I don't even remember anymore because your CPU basically will not do anything. You want to get the cheapest possible. But so cheap CPU, cheap storage, cheap RAM. You don't need any of those things. You can have like a super small hard drive. You don't even need an SSD. Of course, if you're mining SIA coin, which I think is the storage coin, you want better storage. Although naging uso yung SIA coin for a little bit, but now parang it's fallen out of favor, hindi na siya uso. So get cheap get cheap storage, get cheap CPU, and get cheap RAM. But don't get expensive GPU, get expensive motherboard, get expensive power supply. So to go back to my miner, these are 4 RX 470s. A bit expensive back in the day, but not too expensive. These were mining Ethereum. And there were 4. This motherboard actually was a gigabyte. I think it was an MSI board. you could actually fit 6 GPU cards on it, but I could only get 4 to work stable. I could only get the configuration of 4 GPUs to be stable using this miner. So I only had 4 working. And then this is an EVGA 1200 watt PSU. Again, you need a lot of power to mine. So you want to get an expensive PSU, basically the most expensive that you can get. So this is what a professional miner would be based around. You want a motherboard with a lot of PCIe slots. You need riser cables, because another problem with having a case is that you won't be able to fit a lot of GPUs into the case. So a lot of professional miners now actually buy just these aluminum frames where you can hang the cards from, and then you attach the cards to the motherboard using riser cables. So kumbaga, this is the motherboard, and the riser cables are basically extensions. Kasi kung ilapag mo yung GPUs like you would normally do in a build, hindi talaga sila kasha side by side. So you need riser cables to bring them into the air so that you have more space here in the air to have the GPUs aligned. Again, if you can see my old mining rig, I only have one actually, the Trifan Red Devil, which I think is actually still in the store. All of these cards actually still work. So all of those things na, mining ruins cards and things like that, it really depends. I took care of my cards naman. So this Red Devil card is actually still in use at the store. So you can go visit it in the store. So only one card would fit on the actual motherboard. But thanks to riser cables, a bit hard to see in the picture, but these are the riser cable, and they attach to the motherboard here. So it's the back end of the riser cable. Because of the riser cables, you're able to connect to the PCIe slots here in the motherboard. And that's how the goal of any professional miner is to maximize efficiency with the parts you have. So you get one motherboard na sobrang dami mong GPU na pwede mo isalpak doon. And they do make professional boards now for that. I mean, like, boards specifically designed for miners. Same with PSUs na ang daming power connectors for GPUs. So, but this was like a mining rig nga like 5 years ago. So, and it's a very primitive rig. I mean, to be honest, you can see the program I'm running here in the background. This is what a mining program would look like. It's telling you like, oh, this is the hash rate I'm getting, and these are the amounts of work that I've been doing, and then my connection to the mining pool is active, parang ganyan. I've submitted the work that I've done. And you'll notice also the monitor is cheap as hell. It's a really old Samsung monitor. So you also don't need an expensive monitor to mine. So to go back to the question of the customer, what do you need for a dedicated miner? That's really what a dedicated miner would look like. And you can't use that for anything else. Not even for office work. Kasi all of its time is being spent with mining. And so any other function that you would do on that would be super slow. It's really hot to be beside a miner. You wouldn't want to be beside it. So ganun dapat yung kung seryoso ka sa mining, your rig will look something like this. Even now, 5 years later, your rig will look something like this. Multiple GPUs, expensive power supply, expensive motherboard. Motherboard very important for stability. You don't want to have to keep babysitting your miner. Cheap keyboard, cheap monitor, and things like that. Cheap storage, cheap CPU. So it's very different kasi when a customer thinks I want a miner, yung usually inisip ng tao, parang desktop computer lang yan, naka-case and everything. But dedicated mining computers are, very different. And because you want to get a return on investment quickly, you need to know where to be cheap, and you need to know where to spend your money on. I see a lot of people asking for miners, and they automatically get a very fast CPU also, because they think everything needs to be fast, but that's not the case at all. In fact, you can really cheap out on the CPU. Just to show you guys what a good-looking miner looks like. This is from an actual customer. I posted this before on our Facebook. This is a very, very beautiful. This is an aesthetic miner. So I think these are 6 or 7. And if the owner of this, the owner of this miner is a frequent customer, of Hardware Sugar, and he does frequent the chats and the live streams quite often. So if you're watching, kudos again. I really like the look of this miner, and it's so neat. I mean, sobrang basura ng miner ko compared to how everything is so neatly placed here. But because this guy is a professional miner, he knows what he's doing. I love how and he cares about aesthetics also. So I love how futuristic this looks. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are 6700 XTs GPUs, and they're all lined up together. It looks so good. And actually, he's building more miners now. He's getting more parts from us, so I'm gonna badger him for more pictures. Because this is how a miner should look like versus ito yung basura yung sa akin. Because to be honest, I didn't care about aesthetics. I just wanted to have them mining. I'll just take some questions from the chat. Random Ren, panahon ng nice hash. Diba? Yeah, you don't wanna play anymore. You just wanna keep mining. Valiant, nakaka-lessen ba ng life expectancy ng whole PC yung mining? It could, because it's not really a good idea to... If the ventilation is not good, your entire PC will heat up, especially if you're mining with a case. So heat is generally not good, and 24/7 heat may affect other components down the line. But as I mentioned, like in this picture, you can see my GPUs. All of those guys are still working. So the GPUs actually survived. Nothing else, I think, from this miner survived. In fairness, itong EVGA PSU, namatay ito eh. It died, and then I sent it back to EVGA, and they replaced it. And that's actually one of our videos on the Hardware Sugar YouTube channel na pinadala ko yung PSU sa Taiwan, sa EVGA, and they replaced it, in fairness to EVGA. Alan Luna says the same thing. Once nag-start ako mag-mine, hindi na ako nakalaro ng games. I know, right? And parang you're like, oh, sideline lang. But it really starts to take over your life. Dennis, anong ma-recommend mo na cold or hard wallet for crypto? I'm gonna be upfront. All of my crypto is in my exchange. I exchange on Kraken, and most of my crypto is there because I need it. I need to have access to it to trade. So I haven't really explored the hardware wallets or cold wallet services. Trezor is like the sort of go-to brand here sa atin. To be honest, we're in very preliminary talks with a new brand to bring in a hard wallet here to the Philippines, and then Hardware Sugar would be the exclusive distributor. So it's a very new brand, hindi pa siya sikat, but the technology looks good. So yeah, there's not really much I can say about it at this point because the talks are still very early on. But we might be selling a hard wallet in the future if it works out. Moniker, mine Ethereum using a single RX 580. Well, I really I don't think it would be worth it. You'll get something, but it would be very small. Although with Ethereum, you get a little bit and then you stake it, so you'll earn interest from that. So, you'll get something, but the immediate ROI would be very small, if at all. Kasi kumbaga your operating expense, your OPEX would be electricity at sobrang mahal nung kuryente sa atin. So, it really might not be worth it in the short term. In the long term, if you want to hold that Ethereum, it'll go up over time, pero ang tagal pa nun eh. Dennis, required ba na naka-aircon? No, as long as it's well ventilated. This particular miner that I had was not in an aircon room kasi dagdag yun sa gastos. Aircon is very expensive, tas mahal na nga yung running the miner for all those GPUs. So, air ventilation is fine. You don't need aircon. In fact, I wouldn't recommend it. David, saan ba makabili ng ASIC miner? I've never bought an ASIC miner, to be honest. So, I don't have a go-to place. Although I see them on Lazada or Shopee occasionally. Or like parang friend of a friend, nagbabenta, parang ganon. But I've never sold them. Hardware Sugar has never sold them, and I've never bought one personally. Chris Alvarez, sup? Good evening. So, those are the basic considerations that you want to take into account if you are thinking of doing making a miner or using your existing computer. Number one, if you want to do Bitcoin mining, get an Asic miner. Number two, if you want to sideline, that's okay, especially if you have a high-end rig now. You don't need to buy any other additional hardware. Number three, if you want to buy like a desktop / mining hybrid, I guess my point is that doesn't really work. Kasi yung mining na dedicated miner, you really can't use it for anything else if it's a good miner. Kasi you're getting a really trashy, very slow CPU. Like you don't wanna be running that. And then, you know, what's the point? You're mining and then magpapatakbo ka ng Windows, you're surfing, magka-crash pa yan, mahinis ka lang kasi nasira profits mo kasi naputol yung naputol yung mining mo. You have to restart, you have to connect back to the pool and things like that. So I guess my basic point here is that if you're gonna get a dedicated miner, get a dedicated miner. If you want to go the GPU route, that's fine. I flashed on screen earlier that you can do that very well. We have some customers that make some beautiful miners using GPUs, but I really wouldn't expect it to mahirap tong hybrid na parang desktop plus miner. It doesn't work like that because opposite yung mga kailangan mo for a good desktop tsaka sa good miner. Yun nga, and then because there are certain things about a miner that you can cheap out on, and then there are certain things of a miner that need to be super expensive that don't need to be super expensive in a desktop. So it's not like, you think gaming, if I have a gaming computer, sobrang ganda rin ng desktop performance. Kaya niya mag-Excel, kaya niya mag 64 tabs ng Chrome. Yes, that's true for gaming, for editing rigs, for rendering rigs, but it's not true for a well-designed miner. Yun nga, medyo opposite yung mga yung requirements ng dedicated miner tsaka good desktop. Which is what I've been trying to explain to this particular inquiry, but it's just and again, it's like, I'm kind of an idiot because this customer wants to spend easily like 200,000+ getting this kind of computer. Tapos ako pa yung nagsasabi na, no, you don't need that, or what do you need, and let's try to do this. Parang ganyan. Kasi, konsensya ko na lang yun eh. To be honest, I really want to get the best value for the customer. And then, but it's very difficult if one, the customer is not that tech savvy about mining, and number two, if yun nga, they're trying to have everything na good desktop and good miner. So, it's a bit difficult. All right. Matthew Lim, nice hash. MSI Afterburner, naka-underclock by around 70 by 7 baka underclock to around 70%. Can you use the GPU alone for mining while leaving the CPU to browse? I guess so Matthew is saying na kaya naman, with your desktop and then you use the GPU. I guess, but I really I'm surfing, I have multiple tabs, I have multiple monitors on, so I have different windows showing different things. At a certain, yes, and you have the GPU underclock, but kaya pang sideline, but it's really difficult to reconcile the requirements of having a good desktop and a good miner. Kasi even if your CPU can do it, if it's a good miner, then your CPU is shit. I mean, you bought a really slow CPU because you know that you can spend the money on other things. Kaya sobrang hirap to reconcile the requirements of a miner and a good desktop. All right. So, that was my bit on how to build, very short bit on how to build a miner. I am told now, because I've been out of the mining gig for a long time, but I've been told there are software programs now that allow you to better regulate each GPU. So, you're monitoring the temps and you're undervolting. Because actually, you don't need to, you think kasi, the common perception is I want my GPUs to be running super fast so that they can mine super fast. But actually, it's an art to finding the proper settings for your GPU so that they'll be the most efficient, both in terms of mining, i.e. work, and in energy consumption. So most professional miners don't have their miners running, their GPUs mining at 100%. Usually nga naka-underclock yun. And I hear now that there are programs in place that allow you, it's much easier now to individually underclock each card and monitor the temperatures and things like that. Medyo mahirap pa when I was mining. It wasn't as organized as before. So I'll just end this segment with another flash of that very nice customer miner. It's like something out of... I mean, really, look at this. It's so neat. There's cable management. The RGB is coordinated. It just looks really good. So this is what a professional miner would look like. A modern professional miner. All right. So that is it for the... That is it for... Sige, I'll just take questions. Gene, ano at ilang GPU ang minimum to start mining? Again, it depends. Are you looking to just as a sideline? If you just want a sideline, then you can just start with your existing GPU. But if you want to get serious ROI, then you really gotta pony up serious cash. Basically, the answer is as many as you can get. Ano yung minimum? As many as you can get. And you gotta keep running that thing. You gotta keep mining. So 24/7 talaga yan. And it's just not like you can pop in and I'll try it for a week or something. Once you invest, you really gotta keep that mining going. And kung bumagsak yung presyo, and we'll get to the prices later, nakakadismaya and you think na, worth it pa ba yung mining? I don't wanna mine anymore. You really gotta psych yourself up to power through and to keep mining even when the prices are down. Speaking of prices, if you'll notice in the text description here of this video, for every CryptoWatch episode, I put the price of Bitcoin. And when we first started this is our 5th episode. Our first episode was in June. Bitcoin was at around $33,000 per Bitcoin. Now it's at around $62,000. So 5 months ago, you would have basically doubled your money. If you had put in Bitcoin in June and you still owned it now in October. Just to illustrate just how wild cryptocurrency can be, like the value swings are crazy. And Bitcoin is actually near its all-time high now. The all-time high of Bitcoin was around 64.9. So that's around, I think it was $64,800 something dollars per one Bitcoin. Bitcoin is at around 62,000 now. So it's near its all-time high. Historically, the price actually Bitcoin rises in the last quarter of the year historically. So most likely we will hit a new all-time high in the next coming 3 months. That's what everybody says. I tend to believe it. But, this is not financial advice. I'm just making kwento kung how I'm betting my money. And I think that's a reasonable assumption to make, that Bitcoin will rise, especially in the last quarter of the year. It has risen already quite dramatically, even from last month. Yun nga, the last time we did CryptoWatch, it was around 48 or something. It's in the text description, 46, I think. So, ang layo na from around 5 weeks or so ago. So, we'll just get to the news a little bit. Actually, yun nga, after episode 4 of CryptoWatch, there were a lot of interesting developments in the crypto space. Number 1 was Evergrande from China. So Evergrande is this really big Chinese company. They're into real estate. The problem is they're not making money and marami silang utang. So it's a really, really large company that employs a lot of people. So a lot of worldwide, there was concern that this really big-ass Chinese company would collapse and take down a lot of Chinese jobs, and it would really seriously damage the Chinese economy. And when that shit hit the fan, everything dropped. Stocks dropped, crypto dropped. And so that was a major drop for crypto towards the end of September. And it was just recovering. I emphasize this kasi I bought at the drop. I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, Evergrande. Crypto will recover, no problem. And it was recovering. Tapos pucha na 1-2 punch tayo. Yung unang punch yung Evergrande, tapos yung follow-up punch was like less than a week later. Crypto was recovering nicely, pataas ulit yung valuations. And then China again, banned crypto. And so that sent the prices were really depressed after that 1-2 punch for around 2 weeks or so. And personally, I was speculating like, will prices recover anytime soon? And it really looked grim for a little bit towards the end of the month. Kasi grabe, just when things were recovering, mabilis actually siya nag-recover from the Evergrande scare or the Evergrande, the fear. But when China banned crypto, that really sent the markets into a tailspin, and it took maybe 2 weeks or so to recover. And looking back on it, everything is like, oh, syempre, we should have bought, syempre mag-recover yan. But when prices are really down like that, it's really hard to say when they will recover. So, kailangan din malakas yung loob mo na bumili ka when prices drop, especially because of that 1-2 punch. Bumaba na nga siya, tumaas konti, tapos biglang bumagsak ulit dahil sa China crypto ban. You gotta have some conviction if you bought in at that time. But kudos for you if you did, because now you're reaping the benefits. Everything is up basically. Most especially the blue chip crypto like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum actually, I think the all-time high was around 4.1, 4.2 or somewhere thereabouts. Currently, it's at around 3,800, 3,900 now. So, Ethereum also is reaching its all-time high. Dennis waiting for the dip after it hits all-time high. Hopefully, mag-dip. I also want to buy in. David, is mining better than trading? It really depends on who you are as a person. Not to get philosophical or psychological, but iba kasi yung mindset ng trader tsaka yung miner. Yung miner medyo long-term and they like to tinker. If you're a hardware guy, mining will appeal to you because you're tinkering with a lot of stuff. You have to get your miner going. You have to maintain your miner. You have to ensure like what's an efficient way to mine. Yun nga, ano yung voltage. If you're underclocking it, what your voltage settings are and things like that. So if you're a hardware guy and you don't mind long-term or if long-term appeals to you, and you have a lot of capital, kasi yung OPEX mo pa lang, yung kuryente, grabe yan. Oh, bye Valiant. Good luck on your exam. Thanks for joining. You should sleep early if you're having an exam. But thanks for tuning in. We missed you in the chat. So yung OPEX mo pa lang for mining is quite high. You think 4 GPUs running, that's gonna shoot your electric bill way up. So, even with solar, one of the earliest videos we did on the Hardware Sugar YouTube channel was naglagay ako ng solar sa bahay because I was using it also to mine. But even with solar, taas pa rin nung electricity bill ko. So, yun, it's hard. It really depends on your capital available to you and what kind of person you are. Yung trader kasi kahit may 100 pesos ka, kaya mo na ipasok yan eh. Bili ka ng Ripple, XRP, goes up a little, benta ka agad. Then pasok ka sa Binance Coin or something. Diba? I mean, as a trader, you just need an internet connection. A very slow computer will do. You only need very little capital. Pero grabe din yung risk mo. Especially if you're day trading. Meaning sobrang bilis mo mag-in and out sa crypto. And it can be very stressful. Especially when you've bought at a certain price tapos biglang bumagsak. That can also be very stressful. If you watched our other CryptoWatch episodes, I think around episode 2 or episode 3, I mentioned that I'm trying a new trading strategy na I'm more aggressive. Kasi dati ako long-term hold talaga. Like, I'll buy low and I'll keep and keep. Kung bumagsak yan below my price, my buying price, I'll still hold. I'll still keep the crypto kasi tataas rin naman yan eventually. But around 3 months ago, I set aside some money to try to do more aggressive trading. More in line with day trading. And like, I've lost so much money. I mean, like, in percentage to like what I set aside. So, grabe yun. Yun, so you need, like, day traders need to have fortitude. They need perseverance. You need bravery. You need to be some kind of crazy to day trade. So yun nga, depende sa temperament mo. Is mining better than trading? That the answer to that really depends on you, what attracts you, and like, what do you want, a high level of risk, or are you more a tinkerer? And also, yun nga, your capital investment. Ergobert, puso lang. Ergobert, actually, I have to thank for cluing me in on one of the coins that I did make money on, which was Solana. Grabe yung Solana. Last month, when Ergobert told me about it, or when he first told me about it, was around, I think I got in at around $75 per Solana. Then it hit 200 $200 per Solana. It's around 160 now. I'm not saying I sold at 200 because, to be honest, I can't wait that long. Diba? Yun nga, looking back on it, it's so easy to say I should have sold at 200, but you don't know kung kailan aabot yan and saan siya aabot. So I sold much earlier than that, but I did make a nice profit of Solana, and I have to thank Ergobert for that. Which the profit I promptly lost on other on other crypto investments. And yun nga, it's like, ganun yung reality ng day trading. It's like, labas-pasok. And at the end of the day, you hope you're in the green rather than in the red. KM Yambao, still waiting for that high-end gaming build video. I made a promise to myself that we would film the builds that we do more often. And we were doing that. But it's quite hard now with COVID kasi we're trying to lessen the number of people in the shop. Tsaka we have a full-time editor actually, but he's decamped to Bulacan. So parang nahihiya naman ako sa kanya to ask him to come in before he would come in to shoot the builds. But we should really get around to focusing on having more build videos, especially like the super expensive builds that we occasionally do. So yes, that is something that we should do. Although if you watched the live stream yesterday, actually I had a good time doing simple upgrades like the hard disks for Rafael's computer and replacing the PSU on my computer. So that was actually fun to do, and it was really the production values were not as nice because we couldn't use the professional camera kasi the Rafael's build was down, his rig was down, so I needed to install the new hard drive. But those were fun to do, and I had a good time doing yesterday. So we might explore doing more of that kind of content in the future na parang live streaming actual builds, even though medyo like the camera work, like we were using cell phones, and it's hard to have a host and then somebody else has to be there to do the camera. The audio wasn't good because I wasn't able to use the Blue Yeti. But overall, it was a fun thing to do. Like JP Mac, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Ramon de los Reyes, bossing, what's up? Shout out. So the live upgrades were nice to do. Although to be honest, it's kind of nerve-wracking to do it live. Kasi things can always go wrong. But if it's off air, you don't mind. It's like, you can take your time diagnosing what's wrong. And if you do something stupid, it's not caught on camera. And everybody is aware of the verge, right? Where like if everything could be criticized. So it's kind of nerve-wracking to do it live as a stream. And a lot of work actually went even into the pre-production of that. Like I already went in and did the cable work, untying the cables and trying to figure out what cables needed to be repositioned so that we could get the SATA data and the SATA power cables where we needed them to be. So there was already a lot of work beforehand, even prior to the stream. Casey Bolios, who's more techie between me and Raf? Actually, we're both kind of techie. It's just really a different kind of techie. Like he's more into Apple stuff, so he can really get engrossed in like the iPad and like cell phones. He's super into cell phones and laptops. I'm more desktop oriented. So he doesn't really. For him, the desktop is like I want high end stuff, and if it's working, okay na. But you don't need to hold his hand. Like he can figure out how to do his GPU and things like that. Pero like on the tech side, he's more, he's really getting more into like cell phones. Whereas me, like I don't really like my cell phone. Nga is 3-4 years old and it's second hand. My iPad is also second hand. The Apple iPhone I used to shoot before we got this new camera is also second hand. So everybody has their own tech niche, and actually that's what I like about having a lot of hosts on the channel. And of course he's super into the chairs, but I wouldn't consider that as tech, but So everybody has their own niche as a host, and I think that's super useful for the channel. You know, I like certain things, Rafael likes certain things, Rocky the Programmer and Jay are both into keyboards, which I have no idea about the whole custom keyboard scene. Marvin on Pwede Magtanong brings his own perspective. RJ brings his own perspective. So that's what I like about having a lot of hosts on the channel. Dami talagang iba-ibang perspectives. And different hilig sa tech. And it makes for an interesting discussion when we don't agree. Like, sometimes we'll disagree. Rocky the Programmer is not a fan of air cooling. Ako personally, actually, I'm more in favor of air cooling on the average compared to having an AIO. So, yun, very interesting the perspectives that different people bring to the channel. JP Mac, it was great, the stream yesterday, because we got a peek at the thought process behind choosing the parts that you used. Well, basically, my PC is like a Frankenstein computer, like, meaning iba-ibang parts talaga yan that I just assembled over time. Like, yung mismatched RAM, hindi naman sadya yun. It's just na one RAM stick failed and I was too cheap and I couldn't find actually the accompanying RAM, so I just bought another one, parang ganon. So, and then it's like a 3080 paired with a very old Intel CPU. So, hindi naman actually by choice yung computer ko. It just sort of kind of grew up like that na, palit to, palit ganyan. And then yun nga, I wanted to try the CCTV hard drive as a data hard drive kasi I thought it would make good content, and I got the CCTV hard drive for relatively cheap. And you see a lot of people online telling you don't do it. And the problem with me is when people tell me don't do it, I kind of have a tendency to, like, you know, the hell you say, don't tell me not to do it. I'm going to end up doing it. So I just wanted to be contrary and try it that way. So, but actually, to be fair, the drive is working very well now. But of course, it's only been like a day. But so far so good. Curbs watching the stream while cleaning my room. That is actually a good way to watch a lot of content. Like, you can hear the content, but at the same time be productive. So I approve. Hope you guys do vids on home networking setups. Been looking to set up a NAS drive. I've been thinking of doing my own DIY NAS for a long time also. Have just never gotten around to it actually. Yes. So, yeah, so that was it for the news. Crypto was down at the end of the month of September because of that 1-2 punch, the Evergrande and the China banning crypto. But, you know, a lot of people are against crypto and they're just against. So basically any bad news, they're like, yay, down with crypto. But if you look at it from a historical perspective, it's kind of hard to beat crypto at this point. Hindi na mawawala yung crypto, is my personal opinion. So China banned miners, no problem. Lumipat sila elsewhere. A lot of people moved to the States, to Texas, where there's cheap energy, to Miami, where the mayor actually actively courted the Bitcoin miners. Hindi lang na tolerated. As in talagang, uy, lipat kayo dito. Mas okay dito. We have nuclear energy, so it's cheap. So a lot of places actively courted miners, and because the thinking was, well, China banned it, that's where the majority of miners are, wala na. RIP Bitcoin, RIP Ethereum, but that's not what happened because there is a demand. I mean, it's basic supply and demand. If people want new cryptocurrency, there will be value in it. I mean, if you mine, you'll still be able to sell it for a profit. So if you're a miner, tuloy lang, tuloy lang, di ba? Hanap lang ako ng place where I can mine in peace. We've talked about in other CryptoWatch episodes why China would want to ban crypto. Basically, they banned everything not controlled by the Chinese government. So they do have their own digital yuan. And if you have yuan but in your Alipay wallet, they also control that because they crack down on their tech giants. So a lot of political reasons why China would ban crypto. But that doesn't mean that they're against all digital currencies. They're just against the ones that they can't control. All right. So I just want to, before I go through the chat again, I just want to say This is actually the last part of the stream, or at least the last scheduled part, and we've been going for about an hour. I do want to say sorry for this. Actually, when it wasn't a big thing, but when it first became a thing, so it's a small thing, but when it first became a thing, I was a little annoyed, to be honest, like the people who commented, and I didn't think I should apologize for it. Pero it's been like 3 weeks or so, and I've thought about it some more, and I thought maybe I should apologize for this. So this is the thing. Let me pull it up. Here we go. So last September 29, I posted about a crypto game. Crypto game is basically you can play the game and you earn crypto and you can sell that crypto. So the name of the game was Dash League. I had never played it. I had never tried it. I just heard about it. Somebody was like, hey, maybe you want to try this. So I was like, okay, sige, sounds... I did look through their stuff and it sounds interesting. So I posted it. I shared it on our Facebook and our YouTube. And we got quite a lot of comments saying that we shouldn't post stuff like this because it looks like a scam. And I personally, because, we have an audience, I shouldn't be... Basically, I should be smarter and not say shit like this and not share stuff like this. So, at first, again, I was a bit annoyed, to be honest, to be frank, because I wasn't endorsing it. Believe me, if I'm endorsing something, you'll know. I mean, I'll be like, una, if that's paid for. Like, if somebody gave me money to endorse something, I will tell you, the audience, I was paid to say this. I think that's very clear in the videos that we've done that have been endorsed. And there were people in the comments saying that, sell out na naman to, just another YouTuber na binayaran and things like that. I was a bit annoyed by that because I was not endorsed, I was not paid to post that, to share that. And if I were, you would know it because I would very specifically tell you. If that's one thing about the channel that we're very careful about is being honest with the audience when if a brand sent us something, but they had no say in what we had to say about it. We're very clear about that. If we were paid to highlight certain features, we're very clear about that as well. So I got a little bit annoyed that, some comments would assume na binayaran ako personally kasi ako yung nag-post nun. Because believe me, if something is endorsed, you'll know. And so that was completely false. But so I didn't feel I needed to apologize for that. But looking back on it, with some distance, I shared a piece of news that I thought would be interesting. And I've done that before with other topics. I posted about the 12th gen Intel CPU, and I'm like, I even put some editorial there. I'm like, is it time now to reconsider Intel? And I put the thinking emoji. So that was even more of an editorial endorsement than this Dash League post. But nobody accused me of being a sell out to Intel. And yun nga, from my point of view, I was just posting news. News about Intel, news about a new crypto game that might be interesting. If you're bored with Axie, which I am. I wasn't really happy with the gameplay of Axie, which I did try out personally. So my thinking for posting that was just simply to share news. Like, if you're into crypto games, but you're kind of bored with Axie, maybe you want to try this one. So that was the rationale behind that post. Again, I didn't think anything of it, but the posters, the comments made me think that, and I don't know, to be honest, if it's a scam or not. I didn't do my research, again, because I was just posting news. Like the Intel CPUs, are they faster than the 5950X, the current generation of AMD? We don't know yet, kasi yun nga, parang puro chismis pa lang yan eh. So I didn't do my research on that because I didn't feel it warranted that level from me. I was just sharing a piece of news. But the comments, made me appreciate that, yes, we've reached this point that people perhaps, just because, they see it on our Facebook or they see it on our YouTube, they actually might pony up some money for that. So in hindsight, sige, that's what I put in the text outline for this episode, that I do want to apologize for that I didn't think it through that. Kasi to be honest, guys, we have a lot of, we have 70 plus thousand subs on YouTube and 27,000 followers on Facebook. But in my mind, it's tayo-tayo lang. Like, it's a bunch of friends just sharing. And so when I'm with my friends, and Ergo Bert can attest to this in our Facebook group, I'll just share random things. And I'll just give my opinion about things. Because I also want to be candid and authentic, and I don't need to like have layers. I don't think of like, oh, I have 70,000 subscribers now, and therefore I need to like be all corporate and shit. I don't wanna be like that. I want it to be still authentic and candid. So when I saw this bit of news and I was thinking, oh, that's interesting, I'll post it. So that's where I'm coming from. That was my mindset. But okay, it's just been 5 minutes and I've been talking about this. Like, I didn't want this to take over. I didn't want this to take over the entire episode. But that was my mindset. It's an interesting bit of news. I haven't researched on it, but I'll just share it. And again, just like I'm talking to friends. But because most my friends will do their own research. They won't just buy stuff because I tell them that, oh, this is a good thing, or parang this is interesting. Which is how I approach the people on YouTube and on Facebook also. Just because we say this is good, which I didn't even say it was good. I didn't endorse it. I expect everybody to do their own research. But after I've thought about it some more, perhaps that's not a good assumption to have, and I should be more careful in the kind of news and in the kind of things that I share. Because not everybody will be do their due diligence. And I come from the mindset that I'm just talking to friends, and that my friends, like the people like in my circle, would do their own due diligence. They just wouldn't take my word for it, like, oh, you should try this, or this is good. And that is how I approach like sharing news, and just like, whoa, look at this looks interesting, is how I approached it. But again, we've kind of reached this audience level, this audience number that I should be more careful in the things I post and things like that. So in the end, I concluded that yes, I should say sorry for not being clear in that post. I mean, I could have shared it, but maybe like, at your own risk and things like that. Ano pa sabi ko? New crypto game with an upcoming sale. I did say not affiliated with them in any way, but figured maybe some of you are bored with the Axie grind, which I was. Hindi ako natuwa sa gameplay ng Axie personally, and want to try something new. The gameplay on this one sounds promising. At least based on the description, that's entirely how I felt about Dash League. Seems interesting. I'll just share it. But we've reached this certain level. Again, kasi it's that kind of balance between being authentic and being like, how I approach friends versus being like, oh, kailangan daming disclaimer. And nothing turns me off more in life than ang daming disclaimer. Like, it sounds like a very wishy-washy way to deal with life and to deal with people, that you always need to have disclaimers like, oh, but you need this and you need that, parang ganon. So that's personally not how I approach content, and that's not also how I like to do things in my personal life. Even just going back to that hard drive, that CCTV hard drive as a data drive. I don't know, something's wrong with my brain. When somebody tells me like I shouldn't do something, I become more it becomes more attractive to me. Like, I don't do it. Ganun pala. So which is how I ended up with crypto. Very early on pa lang, Bitcoin, single digits, crypto Bitcoin was when I first started with Bitcoin. I like trying out things that not a lot of people are doing, or doing the opposite of what a lot of people are doing. So that's how I approach conversations. Like, oh, this sounds interesting. Maybe you wanna look into it some more. But yeah, not to belabor the point, it wasn't really a big deal. Not a lot of people. It wasn't like boycott hardware sugar or things like that. But I really did take the comments to heart. Comments that said that, ay nako, just another YouTuber who got paid. Yeah, man, to be honest, I wish we got paid. we didn't get any money for that post. And you would have known. I would have been very clear if anything was endorsed. So I'm not apologetic about that kasi nga, I didn't get any money, and the way we run the YouTube and the Facebook, we're very clear. Especially, I mean, personally kasi we're a shop, so it's a very tight line to cross and to travel kasi we want you to buy things from us. We're a shop. We're primarily a shop that sells hardware. But at the same time, if we're reviewing something, we also want to be honest. And if a product is not good and you shouldn't buy it, we'll also tell you. And you'll most likely see we'll put our money where our mouth is. If we review the product, most likely you'll see that we start carrying it in the shop. Deepcool AS500 Plus, we love that cooler. Guess what? We carry it both in black and in white now. The ST500, again, Deepcool, the GPU holder. We reviewed it. We liked it so much, we started carrying it in the shop. So when we say that we really like the product and it's available, readily available, we'll probably usually start carrying it. But yun nga, it's a very fine line with us because we're a shop. Like, what if suddenly we bash ASUS? Not likely, because honestly, I really do like everything basically ASUS sends my way. But what if we started bashing ASUS? Like, one product really isn't up to standards. ASUS could blacklist us, diba? And say, oh, don't sell hardware sugar things. And I don't think ASUS will do that. I know the people working at ASUS, they're all very fine people. And they all understand. Actually, ASUS is very supportive na just be honest with your content. We don't mind whatever you say. And I really appreciate that about the brand. So this is just an example. But yeah, what if we bash a brand and they say, don't sell anymore to hardware sugar? Sobrang hirap nun. What if MSI does that? What if Gigabyte does that? What if AMD does that? Wala na kaming CPU, diba? So it's a very fine line that we walk as a shop and then with a YouTube channel. So we're very, very clear about this whole disclaimer thing na when you'll know when it's endorsed, and we're always very honest kasi that's the easiest way to do it. We didn't like this product, we'll say so. We won't say it in a bashing way. I also don't like reviews that negativity sells on the internet eh. Oh, the worst GPU ever. And oh, the temperatures here suck. Parang ganyan. Negativity sells. And if you look in the forums, all of the tech guys try to be like Kia or know-it-all na. Yeah, oh, what? You bought that GPU? Sinayang mo lang pera mo. Tanga ka ba? Ba't mo binili yung RAM na yan? And that toxicity, I don't think is helpful. We're always trying to bring new people into the hobby. And we get a lot of inquiries na, sir, nakita ko sa forum, okay ba tong GPU na to? Usually, it's fine. The motherboard, usually, it's fine. Ang hirap lang din sa ibang techies. They want to show that they're superior by bashing everything. And again, we don't want to do that also. Sorry, and this thing kind of became like a behind the scenes of all of the ethical things about running a YouTube thing. But it's true because a lot of these things run through my mind. If I say a bad thing about this brand, will we not be able to sell their products anymore? But yun nga, I really try to be honest. And the easiest way to answer all of those questions is to be honest. If we don't like something, we'll say it. But again, not in a bashing way because we don't think that's productive for the hobby, for the people who want to get into the hobby. I believe I described it to Rocky the Programmer as nice, honest. So we're honest, but we won't like... I hate that kind of... and I made fun of it. I made a satire out of it in our video... types of PC buyers na one of the most fun videos personally that I've ever done kasi nga I really dislike that kind of critique na lahat na lang mali, lahat na lang ba't mo ginawa, why is the AIO radiator like this, di mo nakita yung video ni Gamers Nexus and bakit ganito, ganyan. So not a very productive way to get people into the hobby. We're nice, honest, and the best way to go about it is really to be honest with everybody. I kind of lost my train of thought. Like, how did we end up here? No, but seriously, I mean, it is a very fine line that we cross because we're in a unique position. Not very many shops have a YouTube channel. Some do, especially here in the Philippines. But okay, I mean, and again, I mentioned I'm going to be honest. None of them are like us, that we're very personal. Yung may-ari talaga ng shop, yung host, they get their hands dirty, cutting themselves, doing cable management and things like that. There are other shops with YouTube channels here sa atin, but nobody does it like we do. Like talagang it's personal. I read all the comments. All of the hosts pour a lot of hard work into what we do. So if we're a little prickly in the comments, it's just coming from a place na we spend a lot of time on the YouTube channel and on the Facebook content and things like that. So, yun, again, just being honest, I can honestly say that no other shop channel does it here, at least, like Hardware Sugar. And I'm very proud of that we're very open, that we don't have corporate style. Kasi the big stores, syempre may YouTube channel pang marketing, pang corporate, but it's us, our production values are not the best, but being candid and just talking in a language na hindi super techy but is understandable to a wider audience. I think yun nga, it's very important, and nobody does it talaga like we do. And again, yun nga, if somebody's watching this and you think I'm full of it and yabang-yabang na ni Anton that he can talk about himself in the third person, I mean, right? Jesus Christ, who does that? But yeah, again, to be honest, yun nga, just keeping it real, I really take pride in the fact that we don't, very few shops, we're the only one that does it in this kind of way, very candid, very honest, and it's a very fine line to walk. That's why we're very conscious every time that we do a negative review about something, but we'll do it because yun nga, our policy is to be honest. But to go back to this post, yun nga, if you're tuning in late, I'm saying sorry that I posted this. Not because I endorsed it and not because I felt it was misleading in any way. I hadn't done any research, but I'm saying sorry because basically I assumed a level of due diligence that might not be feasible for everybody who might have read that post. So, Casey Bolio sa Slight Linus retirement. Di naman. Wala pa akong sad Linus. Well, I don't know. I guess I'll rewatch this later if kung may sad Linus face ba ako. But, yeah, so I'm not apologizing for the post. Sorry, I am apologizing for the post. Not because it was endorsed, not because I hid anything from anyone, but maybe because it assumed a level of due diligence that I assumed because when I post, I'm just talking to friends. Versus the reality that, some people might have spent their hard-earned money on something that I didn't think much about. Yun nga, in my mind, I was just sharing some news. So looking back on it, at the time, again, I didn't think I felt the need to apologize. But, 3 weeks later, and I've been thinking about it slowly. It's been in my mind. And I do feel now that that post, as it was worded, was ill-advised. So, ayun. And then just the last word on being honest. I think we're also the only shop that bashes. And again, sorry, bashes is the wrong word. That calls out customers when they're being bad customers. If you've seen our head scratcher album on Facebook, you know what I'm talking about. It's like because it's very personal. Again, that's me. I'm usually the one answering the Facebook or Jay sometimes. So it is very personal. And I'm the one holding, I saw a comment, Ralph Ople. Sa Hardware Sugar, may aris talaga sumasagot ng telepono. It's true. The Hardware Sugar number, there's one person who answers that. Me. The cell phone. Anyway, I'm the one who answers all the texts. I'm the one who answers all the calls. If you call the landline, you will get the shop staff. But yun nga, everybody is very involved. We're a very small shop. We don't have a lot of money to spend on staff. We prefer to spend it on hardware. So yun, Rafael and myself, all of us do double, triple duties. So when a customer is kind of being an ass, I personally have no problem calling him out. And we're very clear. The motto of Hardware Sugar is cool parts to cool people. If you're not a cool person, if you're not chill, please buy from somewhere else. Yun nga, I've mentioned this many times in the different posts, in the different live streams, in the different videos. If like you need it right away and you get very upset because you feel that we didn't kiss your ass or something, please, Lord, take your business elsewhere. This is not the shop for you. And so that's also part of the honesty that we have with the other customers, that like we're very clear. Like if we think you crossed the line, the first part of good customer service is being a good customer. And if you look at our head scratcher album, Actually, I'm tempted. I was gonna post something today, but I wasn't able to get the screenshots right in time to see Ergo hardware, hardware, or sugar. It is a bit of tough love sometimes. But and actually, it's more me. Rafael tells me I should be more patient. My wife tells me I should be more patient sometimes with customers. But yeah, again, that's part of being who we are as a shop. Our shop identity, being honest. The Head Scratcher album, we're the only shop that does that. Because I think sometimes I look at some of the comments. ITX Addict is joking, but I mentioned before that ITX Addict, if all our customers were like ITX Addict, we could retire already. like legit, ITX Addict is like top up there with being like one of the best customers. But examples of bad customers or bad inquiries, they're not even customers, to be honest. A lot of those are inquiries. We document them in the Head Scratchers album on our Facebook. So again, we're very consistent in the style we have. We're not corporate. We're very honest, and that permeates everything. The Facebook post, I'm still like the 90% of the Facebook posts and things like that. That's still me. Basically, because nobody can censor me, that's why we have that stuff there. So it permeates everything that we do. All of the videos that we do are very honest, we're very frank. But sometimes maybe that is excessive already. And that's why I'm apologizing for that particular post. Not for the post per se, but because it wasn't worded properly. That maybe people should have thought about it more before jumping in and buying that. So yon. Okay, it's like 22 minutes in. This was like 1 hour about crypto and like 30 minutes about, it's like already 50% of the time or slightly thereabouts on like the background of the shop and things like that, and why I felt I needed to apologize for that particular post. So just to be clear, I am sorry for that. I'll take it into consideration into the future. And it's really an evolving process on like what I think should be on the channel, what we should post and things like that. Because I didn't start out like, if somebody had told me like we would have a YouTube channel with this audience, I would have laughed in their faces even like a year ago, because it's been crazy, this ride. And so I'm also learning over time like how to calibrate certain things, certain posts and things like that. Like the last part na talaga about being honest and things. Some people, the people themselves, it's hard to post stuff from inquiries and customers because they follow the page. They follow the Facebook page. So they know usually when you post about them. And some people have called me out. Like they message me personally and things like that. But I do explain that, I think you were out of line. Some people, I have heard, I know some feelings have been hurt regarding some of the head scratcher posts that I've done. So it is a fine line. And I'm not gonna apologize. That's a whole kind of worms. Should I have apologized for certain of those posts? To be honest, I haven't thought about that. The crypto post has been the one on my mind. But it's an evolving process. Like, is this too mean? To be honest, I already censor some of the stuff. Like unfiltered. Like I'd be much meaner. I'm not a nice guy, guys. For the 39 people watching. To be honest, there's some stuff going through here that is not fit for public consumption. But that's already filtered. But yeah, it's an evolving process. I want to stick with you. I want to thank you for sticking with me through this kind of rant thing. But yeah, I hope the CryptoWatch portion was useful to you guys. Please, shirts will be available online starting tomorrow on the site. I'm sorry, I know a lot of the regulars like ITX Addict and Gentleman Parrot. I saw your messages briefly in the chat, but I couldn't quite focus on it. Ang hirap kasi when you're the one-man show. Kaiser is in the house. But thanks for ITX Addict. But then I saw the Thermal Take P90. Great case. I've talked about it personally with DMs with ITX Addict, and that it's a lovely case. And another example, again, of hardware sugar being customized. I think we're the only shop that carried that, because I just saw that case and I loved it, and I told my Thermal Take supplier, I want that case, get that for me. So yung Core P90 na yan, special order pa yan from Taiwan. We waited a really long time for it to arrive. So again, yun nga, very personalized. Everything about Hardware Sugar is very idiosyncratic and very personalized, very honest. Yun. Curbs is asking, it's $450 for the shirt regardless of size. There are 3 designs, white and then 2 in black. But the other black one has a different design, so it's not just like this, a different size. All right. John Ruben Ocha, another of our top fans and regulars in the chat. Thanks for joining us. No BS warranty. Yes, another reason. Another way that we wanted to do things differently. Ayun. So it's almost about to hit 10 o'clock, guys, and I promised my wife that I would watch my daughter. So I gotta get to my most important job. So thanks for watching. And for top fans, such as John Ruben Ocha and ITX Addict, you guys we're giving you free shirts. So please don't feel the need to buy. I'll post about it. I promised. Yeah, I've been saying. Oh, it's out now?
It'll be released tomorrow.
Okay. It'll be on the store, but I've been promising the top fans I'll post about this to you guys like since yesterday. But I promise I'll be posting about it soon. So thanks, stay safe. Hope the CryptoWatch was educational. Have a good night, guys. Peace.